That is hardcore.
This is hardcore shit.
But for me, it gets harder and harder to resist.
Welcome to another episode of Hardcore Horror with Mike and Brigitte. What's up, Mike?
What, Brigitte? What's going on?
Hey, we've got somebody really special that we've got for you guys tonight.
Absolutely.
We've got special effects, makeup artist, producer, Jeff Farley. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Brigitte.
hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Good.
Good.
Well,
I'm glad to hear that.
Man, usually we run through like a list of what everybody's done at the top of the list, but we cannot run through everything you've done because we'd be here all night.
Sure.
There's just
Yeah.
many credits. We'll jump into some of them. We definitely are some ones we definitely want to talk about. I'm just going to name a few. I'm just going to name a few that just jumped out to me, but there's so many. The Taking of Deborah Logan, Nightmare Man, Tombstone, Stay Tuned, Van Wilder, Tropic Thunder, Buffy, Supernatural, Babylon 5, Tales from the Crypt, Freddy's Dead, Shocker, Serpent and Rainbow, Full Moon Movies, The Blob, Slumber Party Massacre 2, Scary Movie 2, Death Becomes Her, Wolf, Demolition Man, Alien 3, Pet Sematary. I mean, the list just keeps on going.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And it still kind of goes on. I mean, it's like, I mean, I don't know what I've got like one little thing coming up, but it's being worked on right now. It's being in post right now, a short film called Mr. Fizzy, but boy, I mean, thanks to the strikes, it's gotten a bit slow. So at that point, it gives a person a bit of a break in that credit, like spiel, where they're going, and he's done all this, and this, and this, and then finally I'm at the end of it. It's like it's been a pretty long, wild ride. It's hard to believe that in January I got to 48 years. It's kind of a weird thing, but I was like a kid when I got my first thing on Kingdom of the Spiders, just by meeting a guy at Forey Ackerman's. And
how did that come about? Were you looking for that work? Is that something you wanted to do, or what?
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, I seeing Equinox in the theater. I mean, I was already sort of, had the inclination towards, I guess, being a monster kid, as it's called, and
sure.
And I've seen some stuff on TV, and my brother had the Frankenstein Aurora kit, and that was enough to convince me. And then saw Equinox, and when it came out in 1971, and it was on a double bill with THX 1138, and I think it was only because my dad liked Robert Duvall did we stick through that movie, because it was the first run movie, and it kind of like it set the whole tone for the night. It's such an odd film for a kid to say, I've got to go see this movie, and I was like 8 years old at the time. So but still, I mean, it turned out Equinox was shot in the area I grew up in, and I got to know all the guys, and I got to know Forey Ackerman, editor of Famous Monsters, and he lives so close to me I could take 2 buses to his place, and I'd go there almost every Saturday for a few years and just hang out there. But he called me one night and said Ray Harryhausen's coming over, and it was New Year's Eve. And he says, Ray Harryhausen is coming over, and I'm inviting you over. And he hired me and some friends. And by hired, I mean, got us to work after schools and weekends to come in for a couple of weeks and Dremel the seams off of cast urethane tarantulas. And it's debatable on how many of them made it in, but I think we did about 500. And that was sort of... My friends and I, it was sort of our entry into the industry.
Nice. Very cool. That's a good way to start.
Wow. So just by sewing, you're just sewing spiders up, sort of. So sewing spiders.
Oh, yeah. Well, I try to be. I mean, when I was a kid, I was certainly more enthusiastic.
So how did you learn so you've done all these like amazing like special effects. Did you teach yourself, or did you have any like mentors over the years?
I did teach myself to a certain degree, but that was with some help with guys like Jim Danforth and David Allen and Dennis Murin, as well as reading Famous Monsters. There might be some information in there you can grab, at least get some idea for a picture, or maybe an article. And then there was Cinemagic magazine, which was sort of catered to the amateur doing special effects. And there was all kinds of different articles on everything from camera tricks to prosthetics. And they even sort of made their own movie. Actually, they made a bunch of movies, but it was called The Alien Factor, and they sort of kind of showcased their own stuff. And even a few of the guys came out and started working in the industry after that. So that was kind of inspiring to me when I was a kid, and look back on those days, and it's such a long time ago, and it really was. But I still remember all of that stuff on how cool it was getting those magazines or getting Famous Monster, and things like that. So kind of in being inspired, and learning how to do this stuff, sort of go hand in hand, because when you find out it's sort of kind of going on all around you. I mean, one footnote is I finally saw a movie called Bloody Birthday, the guy named Ed Hunt made back in, he shot around 1979. And I'd always heard about it. I knew that Ed did a lot of his films in Canada, so I kind of thought it was a Canadian shot thing. And it turns out that Ed had come by my house when it was around 79 when him and the producer came by. And it turns out they were scouting locations for Bloody Birthday because they shot it block down the street from my house.
That's crazy. Wow. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, it was so weird, to find that out especially after all these years, because my dad thought that they were going to shoot a commercial, and so that's all these years I thought, and it wasn't until I saw it just like maybe 2 years ago I saw it on Tubi, and I went, I've never seen this. And I always liked Ed's films, even sort of the cheesy ones, but and as another footnote on that, I ended up getting a credit on Ed's final film, Halloween Hell. I was supposed to do the effects on it, and had meeting with him and Herb Lindsay, who was on Neon Maniacs, and I ended up not doing on the film, but they used a design of mine and got a credit on the film, at least, sort of unpaid credit. That's cool. From unpaid on Kingdom of the Spiders to unpaid on Halloween Hell. So,
we've all done our fair share of those freebies. Because we do it because we love doing it.
Well, there you do it for the love. That's
yeah.
That's what you say, and yeah, something, if it doesn't, especially if it may hurt at the moment, but later down the road you think about it and you go, okay, well, I'm still here. So, it wasn't that bad.
So out of all these books, like, you've done so many like cult classics and just so many notorious movies, do you have any favorites, like favorite monsters you've worked on, or effects or makeup, any of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, one particular favorite that really stands out right now is when I did this Sci-Fi Channel movie with the same producer I had done Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys with. It was a superhero thing called Stan Lee's Lightspeed, and it was Stan Lee executive producing it, and it starred Jason Connery and Daniel Goddard, who had also played Beastmaster on the TV series, And I mean that prosthetic, we had a full body suit that we did. We had like I think 6 weeks is what I asked for, and I asked for a certain budget, and the producer goes, you got 18 days and 30 grand. Like, okay, it's like, and I hired a bunch of friends, and we did it all in my garage in my backyard. Brought Daniel over and did a full body cast, and 18 days later, me and a guy named Ross Talent were on our way to Utah to shoot it. And it was funny too, because it was sort of like the second picture. I call it my 3-picture deal with Jason Connery, because I was doing these pictures with a company called Psycho Studios, I think, or something like that. And they had these. Well, they had a 1-picture deal with a company, and they decided to shoot about like 4 or 5 pictures on this $1 million budget, and they hired and paid me nothing to do all the effects for these pictures, and but one of them, Jason Connery, comes over to my house and so I can do some teeth casts of him to make some fangs, and I think do maybe a couple other little things for him. And he mentions that he's on his way to Utah next to do some thing called Lightspeed, and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I just found out I'm doing that show, and off and did that together, and then we ended up doing Brotherhood of Blood. Also, that was another one of the pictures in the deal.
I remember that.
We did.
Sid Haig, right? Is that Sid Haig?
Sid Haig and Ken Foree.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, gag where Ken Foree guts Jason. So I had to build this big fiberglass chest rig with blood tubing, and we rigged the whole thing, and they got it in one take. So that was a really nice thing to do, and didn't have to waste too much time blooding those guys up. So, but yeah, it was really fun. Those guys are wonderful.
Sure.
And that was it. Yeah. Good. I was going to do more pictures with Jason. I thought maybe this was kind of an ongoing thing, but no, that was it. 3 pictures, and that was it. But he's a great guy. We talked at one point when we were in Baton Rouge together, and So.
Are you usually on the sets when you're doing these effects, or is it sometimes they hire you to make them, then they just take it and go do it? What's like the percentage of that? Are you usually there?
These days, I'm trying to do less on-set stuff. I did the short film that I did recently. I did one makeup in the dark completely, so I don't even know how good it's going to be. But I'm kind of feeling it's like, I never really. I mean, I came to realize at a certain point, I never really enjoyed doing makeup. Like my bag. I mean, I don't think I'm a great makeup artist when. I can think of a few films of my makeups that I think, wow, it's like, how did I get by with those? Why did they even accept those? But at the same time, everybody was having a good time, and maybe they fit the tone of the films, and so It all works out anyways. But I've done some okay stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that was always been terrible, but maybe inconsistent.
You're probably your biggest critic too.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Of course, I'm my own worst critic, but I mean, God, I mean, going to Romania and Bulgaria and stuff. Oh yeah, you could definitely go to set on those shows.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere where you're eating great food, and there's a lot of really cool people. I went to Romania a bunch of times over a number of years, starting with the Primevals. And it really was, I mean, I got to be friends with a lot of those people, and I mean, think of them as family, and they're just, they're wonderful, wonderful friends who I miss dearly, and still in contact with one of them pretty regularly, and it's great, hearing how things are going, and it's like, it's good to hear from old friends. So.
Sure.
That is so fun. Like, I feel like Romania is like on my bucket list for sure. It sounds so fun.
Going to I mean, I never got to go to Poinari, or Poinari, I think is how it's pronounced, but we did shoot part of the Primevals up in the Carpathians, and I remember I was in a cave. I played a bunch of the hominids in the film, and I think the first time I was needed in a suit, in back guano in a cave in the Carpathians. I mean, a real cave with bats, and I kind of started having this real panic attack because I'm in this suit and I'm getting claustrophobic. And then I close my eyes, and when I open them up, I see Juliet Mills looking down at me. And I remember I had watched her when I was a kid on Nanny and the Professor. And this is before she had done Beyond the Door. If you had seen that, maybe I would have been kind of frightened. But still, I kind of made everything better. She was wonderful. She's such a wonderful person. I still can't believe I spent 9 weeks with her and never even asked her about Beyond the Door. I mean, I'm still like, why? How did I forget?
I feel like if I was in like a bodysuit, I'd probably get like claustrophobic too. Like, I always think about too. I'm like, how do they eat and how do they go to the bathroom when they're in like a full suit?
Well, sometimes you just, something in the case of Tom Woodruff, when I used to work, excuse me, when I worked for him and Alec Gillis over at ADI, Tom is able to wear, like, say, in case of the Alien films where he's playing, an Alien 3 and stuff like that, he was able to stay in the suit for like 14 hours without having a bathroom break. And that's because he was able to limit the amount of liquids that he drank. I guess when he started doing suit performing, like with Pumpkinhead, he was very serious about it. And he was able to train himself to be able to, to withstand these long periods, and really cool. And I'll tell you, it's never fun when you climb into one of these things and then you realize, no, it's like I don't think I could spend like even 5 minutes in this thing, let alone a couple hours or an entire day without having.
Yeah, 14 hours. That is insane.
Yeah.
And it's hot, so you would think you'd be thirsty. So wow, if he did that, like, kudos to him. That's pretty crazy.
And I think even before that, I think before Pumpkinhead, I think he was the creature in the Monster Squad.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Earlier than that, wearing suits over at Stan Winston. So it's that was the amazing thing about working for guys like that. Them, Lance Anderson and John Beekler, learning all these different, techniques and stories that go along with them. Everything you work on had some either story that came with the making of that film, or while you're working on something with these guys. Or later on, there'd be this, stories of working on those films that you'd remember. You hear sort of secondhand from people, and you go, "Yeah, I was there."
Yeah. Speaking of like cool. That, you got a credit on Alien 3, so that's David Fincher's early works. There, were you on set for that one?
Yeah, I will tell you that I started working at ADI. It was a Tales from the Crypt episode called Corman's Calamity, and I had been referred to those guys by a guy named Larry Carr. And they didn't even look at my portfolio. They just hired me on the spot, and I went over there and started working, and things went really well on that. So they hired me back. I was working at some other places, but eventually they hired me back for what was Death Becomes Her was going on.
Yeah.
And that's what they hired me back for. And eventually I ended up being one of the shop supervisors on that film. But during that period, Alien 3 pickups were ordered. all of those extra scenes, the new ending, with Ripley sacrificing herself and all of that. So while we were working on Death Becomes Her, work for Alien 3 was also going on in the shop, including redoing the Bishop body, which Yuri Everson did a lot of work on that, and he really excelled. He created, he ran a skin. Silicone really was still in its infancy, and we were using it on Death Becomes Her, but to get what they needed for the Bishop body, he ended up pushing the boundaries of this urethane material to make it so pliable that it acted like human flesh, and he did an amazing job. It looks so great in the shop, because they had to build all of that also. And I'll tell you, here was my main job. I cast the Rottweiler's teeth, and I painted the pads of its feet.
Wow.
It was an amazing thing, but for that, I still got invited to the cast and crew screening at 20th Century Fox. So,
Cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, something, they remember their people. So,
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah.
I love it how you special effects guys too can just take like nothing and turn it into like something crazy. Like it just blows me away. It just amazes me. And I'm not a big fan of CGI, by the way.
Oh,
So
sure.
I
Well,
love practical effects. Love
it's
them.
so odd too, because it's supposed to be so groundbreakingly realistic, and actually better CGI work in commercials than you see in most feature films, because they just have more money to spend on less time, and it looks much more convincing and better. But I guess in some ways, I guess on the positive end, it sort of is the progression of sort of the old 50s type B movies and things like that. And then some of those films, actually, the effects are not so bad in a lot of them. And some of them, the effects are really either, but still, they all have their charm. It's just, I don't know. I think the newer ones, the only issue I have is sort of kind of a filmic issue. They just look, I don't know. They don't feel like films to me in a lot.
I've always said it looks cartoonish. I think it's the only thing I can think of. I was like, it looks too cartoonish. Like it doesn't look realistic. I don't know. That's the way I
always
think of it.
I say video games.
I will tell
video games, yeah.
The best, the very best description of digital post-production computer effects I've ever read was in an old Los Angeles Weekly, which had a review of Anaconda, which had just come out. And the only line it said about the effects was, the special effects are melted Velveeta. That's pretty much what, and I'd seen the movie and I thought to myself, that's exactly what they were, with the stretch through the, so it, although I have to admit, that was a John Voight with him winking and popping out of the, that was a funny scene. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
But, regardless, I guess, it's like, everything needs to find a balance too. I've seen that I really think God would have benefited from just being a practical effect. And then I've seen practical effects that could have used some augmentation,
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff I do could. It's like, so, sometimes, believe me, sometimes I'm amazed that if something works, and I get sometimes I get so little money to do these things these days that it's really kind of, you just, a little prayer every day, and you just,
Yeah.
Just barrel through it and get it done.
Well, you
Well,
stay busy though. You stay working though, so you got them rolling out, rolling out. I don't know how many credits you have on your IMDb, but you were recommended to us, and I was so excited when I pulled you up. I was like, "Holy moly, this guy's credits just keep going and going and going." I was like, "Man, he stays busy and working,
Well,
working."
was it one time, and I'll be honest with you, right now, thanks to the strikes, I mean, there's still a ripple from that. I mean, a lot of people in LA aren't working that much. There are some places that are working, and some places are they're keeping their doors open because they're taking in other types of work. But yeah, so far, I mean, LA really hasn't completely recovered from the strikes, and a lot of people, especially on our end of the industry, aren't even working these days. And that's sort of why a few years ago, I mean, and this was before I even really realized how dire it would become. I'd been sort of branching into doing fine art, with paintings and stuff like that, and actually, it's like I'll here. Hopefully this will work. I don't know. Is this showing up? This
Oh yeah.
monster.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Or the Colossal Beast piece. It's like something that and this was the Scary
awesome.
137, and like a back cover is still a cover.
That's great. Yeah,
I'm really happy about that. But I figure now I've really hit the big time. This is sort of, I mean, I always wanted a famous monsters cover would be kind of fun, just because the sort of connotation with knowing Farley and stuff like that, and it's sort of like that's you do it because you love it, sort of stuff. But but still, something that was really cool when they said they wanted it, and they did a great job doing color correcting on it and stuff. So I'm really proud of that. And they covered my name, but that's all right.
You're like deep down inside, I know it's mine.
Yeah, I mean, they're really wonderful people, and I'm so thrilled that they actually thought my stuff was good enough to use. So
awesome.
And you have a premiere coming up soon at Dead Walk Fest. Is that right?
I sure do.
All right, so that's May the 12th, and that's in Chicago. Is that right?
It is. I
Okay.
mean, I was there last October for Abruptio, and I'm coming back for Retro Puppet Master. It's like, I mean, one of my full moon hits. The film that the on the wrap day of The Killer Eye, Dave Dakota came up to Chris Bergschneider and I and said, "Charlie is so happy with you guys that you guys are, you're doing the next Puppet Master and is shooting in Romania." And we kind of like, what? Yay.
Yeah. So did you do all the little puppets? Did you make all the little puppets?
We were working out of my studio. It started out when I was this actually all goes back to when the Primevals was going. Chris and I had actually worked for Empire. I'd worked for John Beakley's job, and Chris was the makeup department head on Ghost Town out in Arizona, where he was from. But we had hooked up and started working together, and when we picked up these full moon shows on Retro Puppet Master, particularly, we had gotten hired to do both Witch House and Retro Puppet Master. So I sort of ran Witch House mostly, and I sculpted all of the heads for the retro puppets based on Lee McLeod's designs that Charlie and Ken Hall had come up with. Chris and I, had got after getting these shows with Full Moon and went over to Romania on Retro. Chris ended up directing all of the second unit stuff with the puppets, which was great. I mean, he did an amazing job with it. And my job was to sort of be the sort of utility guy and make sure that the stuff was like, was looking okay in front of the camera. And then he and I would do the puppeteering together, or one would be doing something while the other was doing another portion of something. And, we just worked these things out. We also had a crew of Romanian puppeteers, actual university trained puppeteers for the show, who were really invaluable also, as well as the crew that we had back in LA, getting all the stuff together. Because I ended up I went to Romania early to do Witch House with Dave Dakota. And the original plan was I was to do Witch House and then come back to LA, and Chris was going to do Retro over there. And I got a phone call about halfway through Witch House from Chris, and he says, "Guess what?" And I say, "I'm sticking around for Retro too, aren't I?" And he goes, "Yeah." So they kept keeping me around on that one. So I mean, it really was, Chris did a really cool job with what he had to handle, and Dave really trusted the both of us to do the stuff. And I'll tell you, those mummies were, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Dave. And everybody laughs when they say that. I'll probably be laughing with them, because we had the whole situation with those in the film was while we had great plans for these mummies originally in the script, and the script actually was really cool. The script was very well written and had to be sort of truncated, but these mummies were, I get a phone call from Chris while I'm still on Witch House, and Chris goes, "The mummies are out of the picture." And it's like, what? And I think we still have to do the undead guys they become, but still that mummy scene is completely gone. And I think Chris is over there, and Dave walks up to me and says, "Okay, we're shooting the mummies in a couple of days." And I'm like, "What?" He said, Charlie told Chris that the mummies are out of the picture. He said, no, we're still shooting them. And so Chris and I ended up getting a car and driving into Bucharest, and where we knew there's a medical supply store where we can get stuff. And I think we bought them out of almost, I think, every roll of every package of gauze they had for these mummies. As well as we used that time, knowing there was going to be so much traffic in the streets. We had the driver drop us off to where we went. We had lunch. We went to a couple of bars. We got our supplies. We went to another bar. I think we went back to our hotel rooms and grabbed a nap for a little while. Then he picked us up. We knowing that if we had been in the car with him, we would have been stuck in a car all day in the traffic. So it worked out perfectly for us.
That is so crazy. You do all this work, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to use it." And they're like, "Oh, just kidding." We're gonna do. I can just see you going in the medical supply store and buying all this gauze.
It was Charlie's word to Chris that those mummies were, that entire scene with the mummies were out of the film. And originally they were going to be coming out of the sand, and they were going to be wandering off. And we had this really cool idea with exposed rib cages, and none of that stuff could get done. I mean, not on the schedule we have. As a matter of fact, I mean, a lot of that stuff would have been worked on while I was over, doing Witch House. As a matter of fact, the end of Retro, the script had Stephen Blackheart's servant character becoming this sort of superhuman mummy that, instead of being wrapped in gauze, is wrapped in muscle. And I'd come up with this design for it and started thinking about how I could do it sort of inexpensively, and that got cut out. That entire got cut out, and then it became the Greg Sestero, like, I think throws a punch, and then Steven goes out the window, and there you go. That's it.
Did you find that happened often with movies? Like something gets cut or something just doesn't translate?
Those films for sure. We had, sometimes we'd have a decent schedule. We still had like 2 days of inserts in Los Angeles on Retro Puppet Master to shoot all like the little puppet inserts and things like that. With everything that we got in Romania, we still had little bits and pieces to shoot, and those were all done here on a little insert stage in Full Moon's offices. But yeah, I mean, sometimes films are done like that, and then they'll come back months later and say, hey, we need to shoot some stuff and maybe punch something up. Or a lot of those films I don't get, those are the films that usually have larger budgets. But in case, but still, it's it really helps a lot sometimes when you do come back and you get to shoot a little extra. And they used to do that, like Roger Corman's a lot, and and things like that. So it would help to punch up films, and they kind of had this sort of classic edge to them, especially back in the 70s and 80s.
Sure.
I have a really unusual question. So, what happens to these things that you create for a movie, and when they're finished with the movie, like what happens to them? Like a monster rebuild or the puppets. Like, does like someone take it home, or does it just get chucked out in the trash, or what happens to them?
Like in case of like this thing, this mask this is the man's mask from the film Lucky.
I was gonna say, I knew exactly what that was. I was like, that's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I bring some stuff. I don't have much stuff left. I have a few things. But sometimes the producers want them. Charlie Band loves his toys, so he gets to keep a lot of stuff. Excuse me. In the case of Abruptio, though, part of the deal that I made with Evan Marlowe and his wife Carrie, who are both just really wonderful people, but I wasn't sure. Maybe they didn't like me too much at that point when I said that part of the deal is that you guys not only get the puppets, but you take the molds also, because I just don't have a place to store all these molds that it took to. I mean, every single one of those characters was unique. Every sculpt, every mold, every core, everything I did for that film, based when I started. 2017 maybe. I think when I came in.
How big are those puppets in like real life? Or how big are they?
Oh, those are like life size. They're like human size.
Like a whole person.
Yeah, they're hand puppet type. Danny Montooth was the lead puppeteer, and it's just old fashioned, Muppet style, movement. I made some masks for long shots. And I'll tell you, I mean, it was a tough one. I mean, I'd never worked on a film. Well, let's put it this way. When I did Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, that was 12 weeks. I had that, and I had Return of the Killer Shrews, and I had Nixon's, the one with Ed French, where I sculpted this Nixon makeup for Harry Shearer, and I had some short films, and I had like 8 projects going at one time in a 12-week period, without a day off. And I thought that was rough. And then I did Abruptio, and that was 5 non-consecutive years of my life. The first portion was pretty easy, but by the end of 2019, when they brought me back, onto the show. I had no idea that I'd be working the entire year. I worked the entire year of 2020 and into 2021, finishing all of these puppets for the film.
That's crazy.
Oh,
I mean,
it's crazy.
I never could go on set with them because I'd be making these things. Sometimes I'm making up to 4 at once. And it would take me about a month to make each puppet. So yeah, I'd be making them, and then I would be like wiped out. I mean, the only chances I get to rest would be sort of in between. But you know, boy, I'm so proud of that film. I'm so proud of working on that, and the fact that Anchor Bay picked it up as their first acquisition for the new company. And I'm so happy for Evan and Carrie too, because I mean, like I said, they're really lovely people, and it's such a twisted film. And you know, it's actually, I found it's on Tubi now, so anybody who actually wants to out it's actually on Tubi already, so free.
Oh.
Sort of like, oh, that's, I mean, I was like kind of shocked by that. So as well as any other streaming platform. So, you know,
That's cool. And if you're in Chicago, definitely stop by the Dead Walk Fest. So and see it there, because they're screening it there, right? Retro Puppet Master.
No. I know it's retro. I know they're doing a retro Puppet Master. I don't know about a because we did that in we did that last October.
Okay.
I came out and did that for a night, and it was, you know, something. It was a really cool experience. I mean, I was really I like, you know, it wasn't, let's put it this way, it wasn't as stressful for me as I expected it to be, and I had a great time. It was really nice, and honestly, I never really got into the Chicago area except for the airports, you know, flying through, and so it's nice to get into the city, and that's a great place. I mean, I think the closest I've been is when my fiance and I both got on. We got on like a couple of times in 2023. We got on Svengoolie a couple of times. Yes. He showcased me on one episode, and then. Uh-oh. Are you guys there?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're here.
Sorry, I thought you guys had like died on me.
We're here.
And later in the year, we ran into David Desmalchin, just like randomly, and it turned out the three of us were all wearing our Sven shirts, and when he saw me and I saw him, we pointed at each other, and so he ends up grabbing a shot and then sending it off to Rich, and lo and behold, a few months later, there we are again. So it was cool. It's like, what a great thing. I mean, we love watching.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've had a great career, and you're still going. I love it.
So many.
You know, it's like I think John Beekler put it best once, and I think it fits my career pretty well. Is the hours are long, but the pay is low.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's most of indie filmmaking, right?
Great.
Yeah.
I'm happy. You know, I'm really happy that I followed something that I wanted to do. I honestly, I didn't want to go into sheet metal like my dad.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now you've done mostly movies throughout your career, but you have done some television shows, and you did Buffy for 2 seasons, the first 2 seasons. I love Buffy. Tell me a little bit about your experience on Buffy, and also which one do you like better, movies or TV shows, like consistently?
Well, on Buffy, I came in on the hyena episode.
Okay.
Excuse me again. A frog in the throat. But the hyena episode, and I ended up sticking around into the second season. But during that period, I also had been made the supervisor on Babylon 5.
Yeah.
So Babylon 5 took a lot of my time. And on Buffy, I was going in sometimes on set, or I'd do a lot of molds and, a lot of molds and things like that to help the crew along, or just maybe pick up some things here and there. But I would go on set from time to time, and that is how I got my SAG eligibility, was on an episode of Buffy.
Very cool.
Cool. Actually, it was a really cool show to be involved in. I mean, really, we understood the cultural significance of the show from the first episode, when we all got together at a bar to watch the first episode that we had done.
Yeah.
And we all knew that this was something special.
Sure.
So yeah, so it was really wonderful being a part of it.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So for our listeners out there, like where can they find you? You're on social media, right? Right. So where can they look you up at?
I mean, on Facebook, you can just find me under the regular name that's there.
Yeah, just Jeff Farley. Yeah,
just Jeff Farley, just plain old Jeff Farley. On Instagram, though, I can be found at, it's all lowercase and one word, Obscure Artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really on too many platforms. I'm really kind of a more simple guy, so those two are pretty much the main ones. I'm not a TikTok guy. You won't find me dancing, or I'm not the dance sculptor or even the dancing painter. I've got a site up. It's Jeff Farley Fine Art.
Okay.
So I mean, that's pretty much mostly it. On IMDb, it's Jeffrey S. Farley. So
Cool.
I use on those full moon pictures.
Yeah. And if you have not looked up his IMDb, go look it up like right now. Stop what you're doing and go look it up, because it is just amazing. All the things that you worked on. It's so amazing.
It is like reading War and Peace.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, Dave Dakota. When Dave Dakota and I did the commentary for the movie Leeches, there's a one scene where this leech climbs up this guy's leg, this practically naked guy. He's in his underwear, but so of course it's me doing the puppeteering, and during the commentary I hit Dave with, "This is where you went all Stanley Kubrick on me," and you ordered 75 takes of this. It just got Dave tough. So that's sort of there's the final, there's my last story. So
Awesome. And once again, you got this festival coming up. That's in Chicago, right?
That is in Chicago, May 12th. Retro Puppet Master. Puppet Master. There are going to be short films also screening beforehand. So
now, are you doing stuff? Is this with Anthony Cooney? Is this with Cooney?
I believe, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So it's sort of a package deal, and you'll get to hear me jabber on a bit, and I'm going to talk about the stuff that like I said, Chris Bergschneider and I did, and tell some cool stories about our Eastern European lifestyle. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Jeff, man, we really appreciate you coming on. We could really talk to you for hours and hours if we got into specifically all the movies and stuff, because there's so much we could ask you. I mean, it's mind numbing. So, man, great career.
Oh, yeah. I talk to myself for hours and hours and hours. Myself.
Yeah.
Brigitte and Mike, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Have a great night.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Wow. Jeff Farley. Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing. Wow, he's got some
Everything that
really
he's
good
done.
stories.
I
God, he's
love
got
it.
good
I love it.
stories. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So much great stuff. And then, it's just, I mean, like I said, there's just too much. There's too much. I can't even begin to go through the list and say, hey, tell me all these stories, because we would be here all night. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, go look up his IMDb because it's just insane. When I first looked it up, I mean, it's when I say the list goes on and on, it goes on and on and on. I was like, all right, I'm gonna catch up on some of this stuff. And I was like, God, take your pick. Like what are you gonna watch? There's so
Well,
many.
I
So many.
mean, the thing too is like, like really, I didn't really have to catch up on much because I went through a list like, oh, I've seen this like so many times, a lot of the stuff, So there's just a lot of it. Like, come on, a lot of that stuff we just love. We talk about a lot of the stuff anyway. So
Oh,
it's also
same thing. Yeah, I was like, I just did a rewatch of this. Like I've already talked about in the podcast, like not
yeah,
that long ago. Yeah, so
yeah,
many. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, so all right, let's go on to a couple other things before we wrap up the night. What do you got? You got anything to talk about?
Well, we've got some cons coming up. I love working these horror conventions.
Okay, sure.
We
Tell me about it.
recently rebranded from Three-Legged Circus Oddities to Cirque du Freaks. Our new website is officially live.
Oh,
So
nice.
instead of rattling off all these cons because there's so many, the best thing for you to do is just go to cirquedufreaks.com. And there you'll find an entire list. It's a pretty badass website too. I'm so proud of it. So proud of it. But the biggest con to talk about is FrankenCon that's coming up in May.
FrankenCon sounds familiar. Tell me about it.
Sounds familiar. So FrankenCon, it's in Alcoa. Is it Alcoa?
Alcoa. Yep.
It's like right outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And they have a little film festival, and
Yep.
we have our short film. Mike just submitted it, so
Oh yeah, fingers crossed. I guess. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. They will be selecting some short films to show there, as they do every year.
and this one is a doozy.
This is we filmed this. We kind of filmed it in a way for FrankenCon in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of for fun, but also in a way that we were gonna be doing that anyway, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's gonna be interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that con.
Yeah, me too. And you and I will have a booth there together.
We'll have a booth there, right?
Man,
yes.
we're gonna have a whole lot of fun. So last year, if you remember, like we walked around and just did interviews on the spot. And I don't know how many people we interviewed, but I feel like it was around like 20. There's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So yeah, we always have a good time. So man, if you're in the Knoxville area, definitely come out to FrankenCon. I'm super excited about this short film. To see this, it's crazy because it all started from two little ideas I had in my head, and I pitched it to you, and you just wrote this crazy script, and it just turned into something crazy.
Turned into something, yeah. And we shot it for 2 days, and that was it. Right? 2 days, yeah. So
yeah,
a
lot of
we'll
fun.
see. We'll see how that goes. What else you got going on?
That is about it. I can tell you some movies that I've been checking out.
All right, we'll get to that in just a second. First, let's talk about the Oscars again. Let's talk about that again.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not an Oscar watcher. I don't typically do it. It's not really my cup of tea. Of course, we know that there was a few horror movies that got nominated this year.
Yeah.
And the big one, obviously, was The Substance. That was the one that we were really looking forward to, seeing what would happen. I mean, obviously, Demi Moore won a couple things. She won a SAG award, and I think maybe with a Golden Globe for it. I think so. Just kind of seeing what would happen, but Oscars being Oscars, I did turn it on a few minutes before to see her lose. to was it Mikey Madison? I think it was. And I did watch that movie, that Mikey Madison. I mean, it's a pretty decent retelling of Pretty Woman, I guess, in a way. But yeah, it does. The joke on the internet is Demi Moore losing to this Oscar to her is literally the plot of The Substance.
Is she the chick that plays like her like younger, better version? Is it the same actress?
No. Mickey Madison.
I haven't seen the movie, obviously.
No,
but...
she was in this movie called Nora. This one that she won, and they won Best Picture and everything.
Gotcha.
No, she was actually in Scream 5. She was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I won't give away what part she was, but she was in Scream 5.
Okay.
And not a bad actress or nothing like that, but yeah, it did kind of. It's like, well, this is your once chance to kind of redeem horror a little bit, and also give Demi Moore, like, kind of like what they did with Leonardo DiCaprio. They gave him an Oscar for The Reverend or something like that. A movie that they should have given him an Oscar years before, but they didn't, so they were making up for it. I feel like this would have been a good, like, hey, let me give you this award, but they hate horror. I mean, let's just face it. Mm-hmm. They don't consider it to be even in the same league as dramas and comedies, I guess. Mostly dramas, I guess, really. But which is unfortunate, obviously.
It's very unfortunate, yeah.
But they did want the Substance won some award. It was like some little award. I can't remember what it was even. But they didn't win any of the big ones. But I didn't think they win any of the big ones, like obviously picture or screenplay or nothing like that. But I was kind of hoping that she would win, but she did. And that's just kind of one of those things. It's like, I think we take one step forward and two steps back sometimes when it comes to acceptance. It's like we get a little bit ahead, we get a little bit, and it's like obviously horror is more mainstream now than it was 10, 20 years ago. I mean, that's just obvious. I mean, look, you can look at Walmart. I mean, look, I got this shirt from Walmart. I mean, it's just they sell horror shirts there all the time. Like not just at Halloween or nothing. It's just like all the time. That kind of stuff. So it definitely is in the lexicon of the pop culture, all year around. Matter of fact, this last week, on the physical media side, there was like this thing where I don't know if you saw it or not, but Walmart actually started selling Faces of Death.
No, I didn't see that. Really?
Yeah, it didn't last very long. I guess maybe they didn't have a lot to collect. But the thing is, they sold out super fast. I didn't even get a copy. I was thinking about it, but then they were gone. Like, they were gone. I mean, some stores may still have them, but they don't have them anymore on their website, and none of them around me have it anymore. But yeah, I don't even think it was a new release or anything, but it was just new to Walmart, and it was like a little bit cheaper, I think, than most places. But it was the first 4 Faces of Death, 1 through 4, on DVD, which is kind of crazy, right?
That is totally crazy. Yeah. Wow. And the fact that they sold out, I still feel like the horror community is a lot bigger than what I think people are like in the closet horror people sometimes.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, I mean, some of these probably are being flipped, but I think a lot of people bought this just for nostalgia of that old VHS. I mean, didn't everybody see that VHS tape back in the day? I mean, I feel it's like one of those things. Oh, you got to check this out, and kind of a deal. And so it's maybe that's just nostalgia for that more than for the media itself. But it was kind of crazy, because it did go pretty fast. Again, if you're out there and you have a store near you, you might have it in yours. Definitely none in mine, nowhere near me, and not on the website anymore. So I don't know if I'm getting more back. I don't suspect they will. Walmart will pick up anymore. I don't know. Maybe they will, but I mean, obviously, it makes money for them. It was pretty good.
I was gonna say, like, if they were smart, they would bring more back, because obviously they're selling.
Well, I know, but it would just take maybe one person to be like, "Do you know what this movie's actually about?" Right? To be like, oh. So I thought that was interesting. Very very wild to think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. But so that's just the thing. It's like, yes, obviously, it's becoming more mainstream. Terrifier 2 and 3, making all that money and stuff. So it's out there, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I just don't know. I don't know if you'll ever see it be taken seriously in my lifetime, as far as like with accolades and stuff. Not that that stuff matters; it doesn't for sure. You know, it doesn't mean anything to me really. But it would be nice that if they would even consider these movies, because I mean, they're as good. I mean, to
Oh
me, maybe
God,
some of
yeah.
you better, but they're as good, if not better, than in
Hmm.
any other genre. So it
Hmm.
is kind of sad. It is kind of sad. All right,
Hmm.
that's all I got. You got anything else? If not, what have you been watching?
Yeah. Let me pull up my list. So I don't have a very very long list, but while while we were actually talking to Jeff, I had started watching The Blob because that's some of his work, and
Sure.
but I had just watched it not too long ago. But it's
Right.
funny as I was like, I did a rewatch of it recently and talked about it on the podcast, but I was like, damn, the special effects in this movie is so good for like 1988, and just
They are.
just
They
know,
are.
knowing
Yeah.
that we just talked to him and he was part of it's like crazy. So um I also went and did a rewatch last night of The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Serpent and the Rainbow.
That's
That's a great
been
movie.
like one of my favorites for like ever. It's been a while since I've seen it, so and that's another one that he got some of Jeff's work.
Yeah.
So another one that I watched, it's crazy. I watched it at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Like I woke up and was like, I'm gonna watch this movie. I watched one of Stranger Calls, the original.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I've never seen this movie. It's on my list
Really?
for like never seen it. But what's funny about it, I've seen the remake, which I didn't love it. I didn't like it at all. It was terrible. But when a stranger calls back, that is a movie from my childhood that scared the shit out of me. I remember like
So okay.
sleeping in my brother's bed for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, I want to go back and do a rewatch of it, like as an like as an adult. I feel like I watched it like maybe 5 years ago or something. But and the guy's like camouflaging himself and hiding in the wall, and he's a ventriloquist. And he's putting his voice off, and he's in the house. I was like, that scares the shit out of me when I was 13. So I had to
Sure.
go and watch Stranger Called. It was good. It was good.
What do you think? What do you think about that? The plot, the way it kind of flows. What do you think about it? Like,
It was definitely different than what I thought. It
yeah,
took a
yeah,
completely different turn than what I thought.
it
Just
does. Yeah.
based off of watch the remake, which just, I don't know if you liked it or not, but I didn't. I thought it was terrible. I watched it when it first came out,
I
and
mean,
then
I didn't hate it maybe as much as you seem to be, but I didn't love it either. Like,
I think
it's a
it's maybe because when a stranger calls back, I remember it like leaving this such effect on me. Now, have you seen that
yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah,
Do you remember it
absolutely.
at all? I don't know if you
Oh
remember it or not,
yeah,
but
yeah, and well, both of those first originals they had their endings are a lot darker than that PG-13 remake.
oh yeah,
It's definitely watered down. That remake is for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, moving on. So, I did a rewatch of Near Dark.
You're
I
dark. I
hadn't
love it.
seen that in like forever. I almost didn't even remember some of it.
Mhm.
My favorite scene in that movie is the bar scene. It's so
Sure,
funny, and
it's great too.
Bill Paxton. God, what a great actor! He was such a great actor.
He was. Yeah,
Um,
it's great.
also did another rewatch of it's only the second time I've seen this. I've seen it maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. Is Savage Streets. Um,
Savage Streets.
I don't even know if that's even considered a horror movie. I feel like it's
I
got
think
horror
I
elements.
watched that. I remember you
It's
talking about it. I think.
Yeah, it's Lena Quigley and Linda Blair. Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Lena
Okay.
Quigley's like deaf and mute.
Oh yeah. Okay. I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got like that brutal, awful scene in it where she gets brutally
Hmm.
like raped and she's supposed to be,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh my God. I mean, it's,
Well, it's kind of like a rape revenge movie, right? I guess you would
yeah,
say. I don't.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could probably. It's horror adjacent.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It's got some horror elements in it, but
Yeah.
here's an interesting one. I love going on Slasher and just check out what you're watching.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd be like, what is Mike watching? I do it all the time. Here's one I saw, so I had to look it up and I had to watch it. Had no idea it was a Donald Farmer movie.
Yeah.
Debbie Does Demons.
Debbie Does Demons. Debbie Does Demons. Donald
Debbie
Farmer
Does
special.
Demons. Oh, Donald Farmer special. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, you think he got that name like from Debbie Does Dallas?
Well, yeah, but obviously, and that's the thing about Farmer. He's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the title alone makes people want to watch it, and he had a pretty cool cover art too. So he knows how to get eyeballs on his stuff, man. You got to give him that. Jessica Flux, one of the main characters in this one.
Yeah, I've been chatting back and forth with her. She's gonna come on the podcast. We're trying to work on dates. I guess she's staying busy too. So so it's definitely a matter of time. So
Cool.
yeah. So overall, what did you think of Debbie Does Dallas?
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, again, it's Farmer schlock. So if you like his work, I mean, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I mean, I think over the years he's gotten a little better at plots, even though they're, you'll at times be like, what are you doing, Tommy? But but I mean, what can you say? I mean, either you like it or you don't, really. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I think, I mean, he's put in a few things, like he's got a drone in this one, I think, a couple of scenes. So he's added a few little things here and there. But, I mean, I think most of his formula is pretty much still the same,
Hey, if you like fun bags, this is the movie for you.
Fun bags. Yeah, I mean, again, like it's progression a little bit. If you've seen any of the older stuff, I mean, the lighting and stuff is better and everything in these newer ones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's evolution.
Yeah. So, moving on, another movie watch. This was the first watch for me, and it was the movie from 1982 called Mortuary. Have you seen that one?
Mortuary, and that's the one where they go and they spend the night in the mortuary, kind of a deal. Is that?
Nope. Nope. It's no, and I can't remember the actress's name. Where it's a little different. It's actually, I think it's Bill Paxton that's actually the villain in this movie. That's what's crazy. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God, that is Bill Paxton. That is so crazy.
Tell me the plot.
This teenage girl, her dad gets murdered in the beginning, in their swimming pool. And her boyfriend works at a mortuary. And come to find out, Bill Paxton, his dad, owns the mortuary, and he has this obsession with her. And so he's the one that killed the dad, and he comes and kind of stalks her and kills her mom. And the plot's not real great. I mean, the movie was okay. So it was like recommended for me to watch.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay,
I mean, I don't.
The whole damn plot.
I don't think so.
Spoiler alert.
Now I might have. Watch me start watching. I'll be like, I have seen it, but it just doesn't register right now. No.
Yeah.
But there is another movie about this group of kids spending a night at mortuary though.
Maybe it's not called. You're right.
Maybe it's not called mortuary. But I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, it's mortuary wouldn't be. I don't think is a great title for the movie, but it is what it is. Let's see. Another one that I watched was Laid to Rest. Have you seen this one? I don't know if I can pull.
Remember, I was telling you about it. Robert Hall directed it.
Okay, I was like, did I pull this off your list, or did you tell me about it?
I told you. Yeah, I told you to watch it. What did you think?
Oh, yeah, great movie. Great movie.
It's great.
Yeah, so good.
Those effects, huh? But those effects, those
Yes.
are good. Huh?
God, yeah. I should have known that that's one that you recommended for me. I was like, this is good. This movie's really, really good. Yeah, so I watched that. Oh, I here's another one that I've had on my list forever. It's I know you've seen it before because we've had the main actor, Bill Oberst Jr. on our podcast. And I
Hmm.
think at that time, that was a couple, maybe 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah,
But the movie's called Dis, Dis.
sure. Yeah, I watched
Um, and that's some strange.
hardcore.
That's
It's a little hardcore.
man. It's a little hardcore. I was like, is that really what's happening? Like at first I was like, what is happening? I was like, is that what I think it is? So God, and what a great actor. God, he's like
Yeah,
so great. So
yeah.
great. So
It's a good role
um
for it. Yeah.
I don't think that I mentioned this one in the last podcast. I watched a movie called The Ritual.
The Ritual. Now there's like 3 or 4 horror movies called The Ritual. So tell me which one we're talking about.
Okay, so this is the one that there's about these guys, these friends that they go on a hiking trip together.
Oh, the Netflix one.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I kept reading all this stuff about it. Have you seen this?
I did watch it when it first came out. I've only seen it once, so
So I'm like,
it's
so
a
I'm
little Blair
watching this and
Witch-esque in a way.
yes, a
Yeah.
100%. I kept going, I kept getting all these Blair Witch vibes and but I kept going, why is everybody recommending this movie? Because I thought it was like kind of boring
That's it.
until I saw The Creature.
Yeah.
I literally like hit the rewind button and called Tracy in the room. I was like, come in here, come here. If you're not gonna watch the movie, come in here and see this. Because I was like, it was pretty cool. I thought The Creature was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, it did. It had a good ending. Third act was good.
okay, my last one on the list.
Okay.
I've been talking to you about this one for seeing it for a while. Is Mother. I'd never seen it.
Mother. Yeah. You're saying?
Man, I had no idea what I was going into, I guess.
It's hard to really explain it. Really, it's just an
It's
experience.
really hard to explain it, but I will tell you how I felt during the entire movie. The only way I can tell you this, I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that was the whole point. I think that was the director's point, but I was like, I was so uncomfortable with all the different situations that was happening. I was
Mhm.
just like, and that's how the director wants you to feel during the movie. But
Sure.
that's going to be probably a one-time watch for me because I was like, that
So,
shit was intense. Oh my God. And Jennifer Lawrence, I just never would have thought in a million years like she'd play a role like that. I mean, it was so intense.
it
And
was. Yeah.
but I thought it was great though. I thought it was really great. Like he did a great job. If his goal was to make you uncomfortable, he damn sure did a great job because
Sure.
that's how I definitely felt. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So I love to hear your list. You always have like the greatest list. So let's hear what you got.
all right. I'm gonna run through a few of these I've watched. I watched a lot more.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do a few. Well, it's
Okay.
still a bunch, but it's not all of them. The first one is The Gorge.
The Gorge. Okay.
Yeah, this is that news. It's sort of sci-fi horror, I guess you would say. No, more sci-fi maybe.
Mhm.
That's on Apple TV. It's got that girl, Anna Taylor. You know what I'm talking about? The girl from The Witch. And
Oh
she's
yeah.
been
The main girl.
yeah. She's in it. So it's basically it's like her. She's on one side of this gorge, this area, and this other guy's on the other, and they're like supposed to protect it. They don't really know what they're protecting or what they're trying to keep in or out. But they come to find out. I don't want to give it away in case you see it, but it's a pretty good movie. I liked it. It's kind of a sci-fi rom-com in a way,
Okay.
But I liked it. It was pretty good. Up next,
Okay.
Shudder had dropped one called Little Bites.
Little bites. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It was about this woman who kind of had this demon in her, like, I don't know, basement or something, and like he wanted her daughter, but in order to appease him, instead of giving him her daughter, she would let him take a little bite out of her, like literally out of her. So like there's like little bites all over her body. It was all right. It was pretty interesting. The demons are pretty good, pretty
Okay.
cool
Okay.
looking. Not too bad. Up next was Stream. Stream is it's a low budget horror movie, but pretty good. I liked it. It has a whole slew of indie horror people in it that you'll recognize.
Yeah.
Tony Todd, it's one of his last movies I know because he's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it streams. It's about this whole thing about these people streaming stuff, which has kind of been done quite a few times, but it was interesting enough that I really liked it. I mean, again, it's good to see. When you put like a movie with a mix of like the whole community of indie film, horror film actors and stuff, it's always nice usually. So
yeah,
I think check it out. We watched the Debbie Does Demons with Jessica Flux. I watched another one that she was in too called Murder Size.
Oh, Murder Size? I think I've seen. I haven't watched it. That's not Donald Farmer, is it?
No, that's not Donald Farmer. No,
I know
she's
does
doing
a lot of Donald Farmer stuff. I feel like
she does do a lot of Farmer stuff, but she does a lot of other stuff too. And this one was just she doesn't play like the main part of this one, but it's just about like these girls that are doing these exercise stuff, but murder starts happening. So kind of a low budget version of that too, but not too bad. Up next was an anthology called Give Me an A.
Oh, I think is that about the like the abortions and stuff?
Yeah, this is
okay.
This is an anthology made up of all female directors, all centered around abortion or the whole thing. It's really good. I really enjoy it. I mean, some of them are hit or miss, but I really, really liked it overall. I thought a lot of them were pretty good. I can't think of her name, but there's one short that involves James Gunn, his wife. I can't think of her name. She was in Peacemaker, and she's been in some of his other stuff. She's in it, but it's really good. It involves and I've joked about this before, which is why I really like it, probably because it was like she met this guy on like a dating app or something, and they met in real life, and then she's like, oh, okay, yeah. So they go back to her place, and she's like, well, like since abortion's illegal, I have to get consent. I have to get like legal consent, and then she like pulls her phone up and has her lawyer like talk to him and tell him all this stuff, and like basically consent to do the ritual, and then basically she's like, and she bears no liability if there's any kid and stuff like that. He's like, he just won't do it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So then the ramifications of that later on. It's funny. I think it's a good anthology overall. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why I knew what it was about. So I saw that you had posted it, and I think I went and watched the trailer, so I was like, oh, let me add this to my list.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, like I said, there are some that are like, a little bit like maybe not as great, but there's some pretty good gems in there. Up next was The Radleys. This was a movie. I watched this on Tubi, I think. It's a
vampire movie.
It's a vampire. Movie. It's a vampire movie. Did you ever see that movie? It was like the Hamiltons, and then they had a spinoff called the Thompsons. Did you ever see those?
I don't think so. But it could be wrong though.
Hamilton's the Hamiltons. The first one was in After Dark Horror Fest thing. One of those. So, but this kind of reminded me a little bit of that. I mean, this is supposed to be a little bit funnier, I guess, and it has its moments. But it's really just about a family of vampires that are trying to kind of stay on the low key, on the down low in society.
Yeah, I think I watched the trailer for that one also, and I wasn't excited. I wasn't excited about it.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
Yeah,
it's just okay. Up next, Haunt Season, a new movie about haunted house movies where people killed in the haunted house. I know this has been done to death, but I kind of like these movies because I typically get to see all the stuff inside the haunted houses, and they're all dressed up, and it's always Halloween stuff. So I always like that stuff. So I'm usually okay with these movies. And this one's, it's not like better than a lot of the other ones, but it's sufficeable. I liked it, So yeah, put me in a setting of a haunted house and have people kill people. I'm good. It's good. Yeah. Up next was Bystanders. Bystanders. This was a pretty interesting budget. It's a movie. It's very low budget, very very low budget, and a little different, I think, than what you maybe expect. It's sort of a comedy in a way, not like flat out ha 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 kind of jokes, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. But I think it's worth a watch because it does. I mean, I don't really think maybe the twists in it are like crazy, like oh my god, I didn't see that coming necessarily, but there are some twists in it and stuff that keep you kind of engaged a little bit. So
okay,
yeah, okay. Yeah, worth a shot. Up next was Amityville Vibrator.
What? Never even heard of it.
Never heard of this? Well,
No.
I don't know if you remember now. The director guy, he was actually at FrankieCon last year.
Was he?
Yeah. I talked to him a little bit. They're not from Tennessee, but yeah, he was there, and I got interested in some of his movies because it just seemed good. First of all, this movie is, I mean, is it a great plot? No. Is it great acting? God, no. Is it fun? Fuck yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. It's stupid and silly, but it's supposed to be. And it's ripping off of the Amityville horror. And, in that movie where it says "Get Out," this one it says "Get off." I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of nudity. There's cunnilingus. There's a lot of there's a lot to it. So, but it's fun. I mean, they definitely don't take themselves seriously. So, if you're in that mind space for that kind of a movie, I say worth a watch. It honestly is pretty silly, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Up next was Boneface from
Boneface
2025. This was a weird movie. So you got this character Boneface with the skull face thing, and it starts out as a slasher. Really, the dude's slashing, killing his people, right? And it very quickly turns into a whodunit murder mystery, which is.
I think I just watched this. I think I just watched this. I didn't have it on my list. I do that all the time. I watch all these movies, and I think that I watched it because you watched it.
Okay, what'd you think about it?
It was okay.
It was okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, so I was like, "What is going on right now?" Because it really, it starts out, and you really think it's going to be like sort of a certain pace, and it really slows it down. It's like, and you're like stuck in this diner and stuff. And so,
yes, this is the movie. I cannot believe that. I can't believe I didn't write it on my list. I hate when I do that. Like I do that shit all the time. I'll be like going, "Oh my god, I watched this movie and I didn't even talk about it on the podcast." Like I do that all the time. So,
well, I mean, it's just again, it's low budget too. It's not big budget or anything, but I mean, the acting's pretty decent. It's just again, not really what I was expecting. Maybe if I had known what I was getting going in, I might have appreciated it a little bit better. But I mean, it's an okay movie. Yeah, it's okay. Up next is The Monkey.
Oh, I saw that you watched that, and I haven't heard a lot about it. I don't think I've talked to anyone that's actually seen the movie, so I'm dying to hear your feedback.
All right. Well, Oz Perkins. I mean, I think he's a horror director to watch for sure. I mean, he's good. He's really good at making movies. This is definitely a departure. I mean, if you're going into this one thinking it's Longlegs Part 2 or the Black Coat's Daughter or something like that, it's not. It's nothing like his previous movies. And I mean, it's a story by Stephen King, and it does have more of a Stephen King feel. This one definitely does have more of what I would call like a universal horror appeal to it. Overall. I mean, there's quite a bit of gore and stuff in it, but it definitely does have that sort of like just you could watch it on TV, kind of those old Stephen King-esque movies. So it does fit in with that pretty good, I think, overall. I mean, there's some humor in it and everything. the monkey. I mean, we had the monkey's paw. I mean, this is very, in its own way, similar to that. Yeah, a little bit anyway. It's different, but it does have a little bit of similarity to that sort of stuff. I mean, I did like it. I don't like it better than Long Legs. I still think that movie's better than this. It's pretty weird movies, but it's enjoyable enough. I still think he did a good job with it. I wasn't like let down or nothing. I mean, but I mean, yeah, it's just one of those movies that's kind of like, I don't think it's a movie that's like, oh my god, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like it or nothing. But and again, it's just more appetizing for, I think, the masses. Just like that sort of generic appeal, which that doesn't sound good, but but it's worth a watch. It's worth a watch.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Up next, Hellboy: The Crooked Man. That's the new Hellboy movie.
Oh, that's what I thought. I was like, that's the newest one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So they've changed actors. This is the third time, I think. So the first two, I thought was, I mean, I really don't think they're really horror movies, are they? I mean,
I don't think so either. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't think it has enough horror elements for me personally.
Well, the first two were definitely more comic book.
Yeah,
I know
100%
too, and maybe even the third one too. But this one here is super low budget. Like they really, really low budget. Like it's definitely, you can tell it in all of it. But I will have to say, it is, out of all of them, the most horror movie version.
Oh, okay.
So this one is definitely, I would definitely call this one a horror movie.
Okay.
I would, for sure. But I mean, it does lack in budget, and so that does kind of take away from some of it, especially with the look of Hellboy and everything, and all that. But I mean, I liked it okay. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I kind of thought, well, this is going to be probably another rehash. I mean, it's different. It's definitely different because like I said, it's more horror based and everything. So yeah, I'd say maybe worth a watch. I mean, it's not fantastic or nothing, and definitely again plagued by that low budget kind of deal. But yeah, not too bad.
Okay.
Up next, Hulu's Control Freak that dropped pretty recently. It's kind of a body horror in a way movie. Yeah, it is. It is body horror. Yeah, it really made me itchy. I'll tell you that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was scratching the whole time. Like, well, I'm itching over here. It's okay. I mean, the demon and stuff is okay. It's pretty good. It's just not. I didn't think it was like fantastic or nothing, but it's. I mean, if you like body horror, so I'd say check it off your list.
Okay.
But yeah, but it's not like oh my god, this is amazing. Up next was The Parenting. That's the new horror comedy that dropped on Max recently. It's about these two guys, this couple that are inviting their parents to spend the weekend with them, but like the house is haunted, and people start getting possessed and stuff. Well, not really haunted, but yeah, there is like a demon presence, and so it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not like oh my god, but it had enough horror and comedic elements. It's probably more of a comedy, I guess you would say.
Yeah,
it is straight up horror, but maybe worth a watch.
Okay,
worth a watch. Yeah. Up next, I watched another one of Jeff's movies, Halitosis: The Legend of Stank Mouth. Now, this is a crazy, very low budget, but it's like, I think everybody has like their own different things that they like don't want to watch. Like for some people it's like blood, for some people it's vomit. If you don't like shit, this may not be the movie for you. Feces, if feces is a turn off, probably not for you. It's about this weird guy who has basically a butt for a mouth, and yeah. So it's interesting. It's very goofy, very silly. Lloyd Kaufman's in it. but I think it's supposed to be, obviously. There's farts all in the movie and stuff. So I think they had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, so if that turns you off, maybe not for you. But if you like toilet humor, I'd say this might be one for you. Yeah.
I think I might have to skip that one actually. Like,
not for you.
Yeah, not for me. I'm
not your cup of tea. Okay.
Yeah, no, not for me.
All right. Up next is Borderline. Borderline, that's not really a horror movie. This is more horror adjacent, I guess you'd say.
Is it Borderline?
Yeah, it's Borderline, exactly. Exactly. But I wouldn't say it's horror, but I just included Samara Weaving is in it, which I typically like what she does. And I think her husband actually wrote it. He's the one who wrote Cocaine Bear.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's there's definitely a lot of comedic stuff in it. It's a good movie though. I really like it. I think it's really good. It's really funny. And there is a little bit of blood and stuff, but not really anything to say it's a horror movie. But it is, again, I think because of them two, especially horror adjacent. And the last thing I watched was a little movie on Screenbox called Cannibal Comedian.
Cannibal Comedian?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a comedy? Is it a comedy horror?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it is. It starts out really good. Like I really liked it at the beginning of it because it's definitely more Texas Chainsaw in the beginning. It gets kind of lost in the minutia of the comedy part of it. I think in the middle kind of drags a little bit. So I don't know. It's not great. I mean, again, I think if they did more of what they did at the beginning, like throughout, I think it would be better. But I mean, it was okay. It's an okay movie. It's not bad. But just give the trailer a watch to see if it might be something you would be into. But yeah, so that's all I got. That's I mean, again, I've got more stuff, but that's enough for now. So
yeah,
that's enough movies. But yeah, always something to watch. So all right, you got anything else for me right now?
I think that's it, man.
All right, good deal. All right. Until we meet again, which will be April Fool.
Yeah, April.
All right. Well, let's stay hardcore. All right. Until the next time. Later.
Wow. It's hardcore.
Nothing harder.
Hardcore Horror with Mike and Bridget is a part of the Tennessee Horror Podcast Network.